is up, Square Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're coming at you from the mobile command center. I haven't done a video in here in quite some time, so I was kind of missing the little, cooped up environment that I have here in the car. Sometimes you got to do some content on the fly, with the busy work schedule, getting ready for the holidays. Sometimes it's hard to find downtime, but I definitely want to talk something more techy today. Not so much like a tech talk, but just something that my buddies and I, the PA play group, the Sensu Bean Cartel, we've come across in playtesting a lot, and it's kind of more of along the lines of like a revelation. So back in set 10, we got a starter deck, the Spirit of Potara starter deck with the blue Vegito leader, okay? And in that starter deck, the unison that came with it was the Gogeta Unison Pursuit of Power. Okay, he's pretty basic, 2-drop, 15k unison. He doesn't have an uptick skill. He does have a skill to add markers, but he doesn't have an uptick skill. His skill is you can choose one of your blue battle cards or one of your blue leader cards, switch it to rest mode, and add a marker to this card. And then he also has a -2 that says you can reduce 2 markers from him, draw a card, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, that cost more than their current energy, and send it to the bottom of their deck. Obviously, the way the game is playing right now, there's a lot of ways to cheat out expensive battle cards, whether it's SCR Broly, or, going up the Gotenks chain, or going up the Broly chain. Most of those cards don't have barrier, but obviously the SCR Broly does. So being able to just neg 2 markers to have barrier spot removal is awesome, especially because it draws you a card. But he also has the nifty permanent, and I'm sure you guys have seen the card in the SS4 Vegeta deck that I posted a couple weeks ago on the channel. He has a permanent that states if you have a blue Saiyan in rest mode, your leader does not take damage from battle. So double strike, triple strike, any type of attack attempt from your opponent to your leader is not going to follow through because of that unison's permanent. Now, blue has always been a defensive color that likes to recycle and untap energy. There's a lot of blockers in blue. Naming a couple off the top of my head that have just recently come out. You have the 1-drop expansion blocker from Trunks that helps that archetype a lot. You have the 4-drop blocker for the SS4 archetype. You have the 6-drop blocker for the SS4 archetype. You have the 7-drop blocker for the SS4 archetype. You have a lot of cards that are blue blockers, but you also have a lot of cards that can come into play in rest mode with a couple of different combinations. The Vegito Spirit of Potara also came with a nifty 1-drop Trunks. You can combo with it for 1 energy, and then after the combo, you can play a 2-drop Saiyan from your hand in rest mode and negate its skills. So that would allow, that would lend that skill to the permanent of the unison, preventing you from taking damage. Obviously, that's not very efficient because you're using 1 energy to combo a 5k to play something when there's other options. Now, my favorite card to use in combination with this unison is the Gotenks Reaper of Justice that we got in set 11. It's an activate battle. You can free play it if you control a blue unison with 2 markers, and you can play him activate battle in rest mode. That immediately triggers the unison's permanent. So for example, if you're getting attacked by a big quad striker or a big triple striker, if you're playing against Reboot Gohan or Cell Zeno, whatever the case may be, if you have this card in your hand and your opponent completely ignores your unison, you can free play it during activate battle, and the attack will continue. So the best way of doing it, or the best interaction you could possibly get, is if your opponent attempts to go for game and they shotgun everything into their big double, triple, or quadruple strike, and you have the activate battle. The activate battle resolves before the combo continues, so in essence, you control a blue Saiyan in rest mode, your unison's permanent would kick in, you would not take any damage, so the combat would essentially fizzle, your opponent just wasted all those resources, and now basically there's nothing left that they can do. They have to either choose to target your unison or go after your board before they can actually do damage to your leader. So there's a lot of different applications for this unison. Blue decks specifically, they do have a lot of good unisons to choose from. Obviously, you have Zeno, you have the baby unison. You can kind of make the argument for the the golden Great Ape unison that we got in the tournament packs. So there's a lot of different choices there. But if you're playing a more defensive strategy and your curve, you know, fills out more on the upper half, like post 3 and 4, and you need a good 2-drop, you know, he's not a bad unison to play on 2 if you don't want to play Zeno. Zeno is really good for ramping strategies, but you really haven't seen, there hasn't been a lot of, you know, Zenos in play lately. I mean, him being a 9K unison, he's going to get hit a lot, especially with decks that can go wide or decks that can swarm. You know, obviously, you know, you have like Vegex, you have skillless Goku, you have skillless Gohan. Those decks can go wide very quickly. And Zeno, you know, he's going to come in with 4 markers and just get removed right away. So you're not going to get the full benefit of having that unison stick around. Gogeta's a 15K unison, so he does get pressured pretty easily by your opponent. Obviously, 20K seems to be that sweet spot where it's very difficult to deal with. For all of you red players who are playing the Jiren unison, I'm sure it's very comfortable having that extra 5K battle power on your unison. But most of the time, you know, that's going to be on the upper half when they're coming down on turn 3 or 4. But having a 2-drop 15K unison is not too bad, especially one that you can get a couple markers on pretty quickly and has that very nice spot removal for blue, ignoring barrier. You know, for 2 energy, you can just come in and remove any threat that's obviously costing higher than your opponent's energy, which is really useful in my opinion. So not so much a tech card, just a couple of, you know, a card that probably is under the radar currently that you guys should probably pay a little more closer attention to, especially moving into set 12. You know, we do have that Pycon archetype coming out for blue. I'm not sure how that's going to shift. I'm sure that deck's going to want to play its own specific archetype unison, but, you know, it's just a good generic blue unison if you're trying to play, you know, blue good stuff deck. It might be something to consider, especially having that nice built-in barrier removal. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Have you been using this unison? He has been out for quite some time. Have you had experience with it in the past? Any success also? Let's open this up for discussion. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.